Hello friends and welcome back to Digitalk. So in the previous multiple sessions I have covered the multiple topics with respect to the AI agent for the beginners. Okay, like what is the path if you want to learn the AI or agentic AI and the role of LLMs, RAG, embedding and then vector database in the AI agents. Okay, so now in this particular session I am going to cover a very important topic which is called the tools. Okay, so every AI agent call the multiple tools for the multiple purpose. Okay, now what is the role of tools and what exactly is the tool and why AI agent need different tools? I'm going to again explain with a very basic example so that you will have a complete end-to-end understanding of why AI agent need tools. Okay, so whenever we build our own AI agent, so we integrate that particular agent with the multiple tools. Now, what is the purpose of that? That complete clarity you will get in this session. Okay, so now why AI agent need tools? So an LLM only knows what it learned during training and can only generate the tracks. Okay, so what we have learned about the LLM in the introduction sessions, okay, in the previous sessions, okay, LLM is called large language models. Okay, so this specifically work on a specific model. That means LLMs are trained on the public data, which is available on the internet or on the public internet or the public network, right? So the LLMs are trained on the huge amount of data. Okay, and then when the model is created, then it is released with a particular model. For example, there would be a 4.2 model of LLM or ChatGPT. There would be a 5.2. I'm giving us some rough versioning of the models. Okay, so in nutshell, the LLMs are trained in the huge amount of humongous amount of data, and then a model is created. Okay, and whenever we ask a question to the LLMs, it looks for the data on which it is trained. Okay, it cannot go beyond that one. Okay, so that means it is very good in generating the text and to give and frame the responses. Okay, based on the question that you ask. Okay, but it cannot send an email or look up live data or your personal data or the organizational data. Okay, and tool give it those abilities, right? So now suppose that if I ask you, you can ask a question to the chat gpt or cloud or maybe any gemini or any other LM. You can just ask, can you send email for me? You will get a answer something like, I can't send email on your behalf, but I can draft one for you, right? Why it cannot send the email? Because it doesn't have any information about your email ID, the source and target email ID, what would be the content of your email, and specifically importantly, it is not integrated with any of the email tool, or you can say email exchange, right? You need a exchange, email exchange, if you are going to send an email. So without that information, your LLM cannot send any emails, right? And if you go with tool, can you send email for me? Then definitely it is going to call the provider API and send email and confirm you. So you will get a response, yes, definitely, if you have integration with tools. So like you have integration with the Microsoft Exchange, we have integration with the Microsoft Exchange, and you have and given the complete detail, what is the exchange detail, and then you have given the complete, what is the subject of email, what is the recipient that you want to send the email. So every information you will give as a specific in a tool. Okay, and then your particular AI agent can able to send the email. So this is one of the example of sending an email. Right. Similarly, your personal data, your organizational data, the LLMs, as I said, are trained on the publicly available data. It doesn't have your personal information. It doesn't have any organizational internal data or internal information. Right. Now, suppose that if you ask an LLM or ChatGPT, Cloud, or any Gemini, okay, what is my organizational leave policy? You will not get the response, right? Because this LLM doesn't have the information about your company's leave policies, right? So it will simply say you that, okay, I do not have access to your organizational data, so I cannot answer this question. Okay, so in that case, if you need the information about your organizational data via LLMs, so what you will do, you will provide the access to LLM to your organizational data. Okay, how we do it actually, we may have a PDF document of our organization which contain our which contain our leave policies. So we can simply upload that PDF to the LLMs like ChatGPT, and once that PDF is there with the LLM, then it can read that document and it can give you the answer. In simple means, you need to provide the access of your organizational data. Similarly for your personal data, if and now one of the example, if you say an LLM, book a cab for me, do you think is it able to book a cab for you? No, because it doesn't know anything about your any of the tools or APIs, okay, for booking the cab. There are multiple things are required, like what is your source and destination, and then which provider it is going to call for booking the cab, what is the price of that one, right? So there are multiple things are required. So in a nutshell, LLMs are specifically trained on the humongous publicly available data, and then it create a model. And whenever we ask a question, then it read the particular model and give you the answer, but it can't do the work for you, like sending email, book a cab, book a flight ticket, and then to give some information about your personal data for your organizational data. And for that, what we need tools. So that once we have a tool, so we can integrate the LLM with the tools, okay, and then it can do multiple works for you, okay. So we'll talk about with the example. So tool calling, the concept. So tool calling is the process where LLM decide I need an external tool for this, picks the right one, and tells the system what to run instead of guessing the answer itself, right? So if you do not have an integration with any of the tool and you're asking a question to the LLMs multiple times, it hallucinate, right? The things whether it give the response which is not actually true, right? So now user asks the question, convert 100 USD to INR. LLM decide I need a currency converter tool. Tools run call currency API with the values, and LLM replies 1000 USD equal to something like this one. This is a figure. Okay, so LLM never does the math and fetches the rate itself. It just know when to ask tool for help, right? So as I said, for any kind of actions, LLM need to have a integration with some tools, okay, which can decide what need to be done, and LLM decide which tool need to be called based on your query, the question that you are asking. So if you ask this question to LLM, then definitely without any integration with the tool, like you have not done an integration, specifically you have not done an integration with the tool using any of the AI agent, then definitely you are going to give this answer, right? So because this information is available publicly, like what is the current USD rate, 1 USD in the INR. Okay, if you are going to convert 100 USD into the INR, then what would be the value? It's simple calculation, right? So your LLM can able to answer that one, right? But on top of that, there would be a multiple things where LLMs has a limitations and it cannot answer. But what is the important point here? Your LLM decide which tool or which external tool it has to call to address the query that you have asked. Okay, this is the work of LLMs here in the AI agent. Your LLMs decide which tool it has to call for the query that has been asked by the user. Okay, and how it asks or how it execute by the function calling. That means function calling is how tool calling actually work under the hood. The LLM output a structure request which is called the function name and argument, that code then executes. So whenever you ask any question to LLM, specifically in the AI agent, okay, so before giving you the response back or before calling any of the AI your external tools, okay, so there is a function calling is executed in the LLMs. That means whatever the question that you have asked, it will be converted into the functions. Like you ask book a cab for me to Delhi. Okay, so there would be an internal function will get created based on wherever you wanted to go. Okay, so there would be a pickup location, there would be a destination, what there would be a cab type, there will be a pickup type, right? So whenever you book the cab by your own using some application, right, what you do, you select the source and destination, then what kind of a cab you would like to book, what would be the pickup time, okay, at what time you want to book the cab. So there are multiple things that you select manually, right? Same thing whenever you ask your agent, AI agent, okay, to book a cab for you, okay, so you need to provide some input for that, like the destination for Delhi, what is the time that you would like to book, okay, and then it convert into the functions. Okay, so that means tool calling is the idea, and then function calling is the exact mechanism, which is a structured name and argument that make it work. So there would be a function, okay, and then function is a structured name with the arguments. So name with the arguments mean pickup location is the structured name, and this is Ghaziabad. This is the argument. Similarly, destination is the structured name, and Delhi is the argument. So there would be a structured and argument. So whenever you ask, okay, so you ask a specific logical question, and that get converted into the functions in the LLMs. Now the most important part, API is connecting to the outside world. So now if you're saying to book a cab for me, okay, so there are multiple cab providers will be there. Ola, Uber, and then multiple cab providers are there, right? So now your LLM has to call one of them, okay, or maybe all of them to identify which is the best suited cab provider as of now for you based on your requirement, where you are getting the less amount of for the booking, right? Where you are getting the efficient cost. So an API, application programming interface, it is a standard, you can say standard development frameworks, okay, which we use for calling the third party services. So API is how an agent talk to another services, like asking a waiter to bring something from a kitchen instead of cooking it itself. Okay, so is example like that, you ask a waiter to bring something, right, to order something. Okay, so to ask something from the kitchen instead of cooking it yourself, right? So whenever you ask, give a waiter any order, okay, it goes to your kitchen and then it comes up with the items that you requested, right? So similarly, whenever an LLM has to do some activity, for example, book a cab for me to Delhi. Okay, so if your LLM, okay, with the help of APIs, going to call multiple cab service providers, provider one, provider two, provider three, provider four. It will look for which is the good provider for you, which is providing you the less cost, okay, for that particular travel, and then it is going to book that particular provider's cab for you, right? So in that case, you will have an API which is going to call the different cab service providers. So similarly, like an agent, it will say that like get flight passes Delhi to Goa. Okay, so there would be a API request that will be initiated for the airlines API. There would be a API response that is retrieved back from the airline services, because there are multiple airline services. Okay, so there would be a multiple integration with the multiple airline services, and then there would be a response that will give back by the API. Okay, and then you will get the response like the cheapest flight is 4,200 INR, and there would be some more details like who is the provider which is providing you this best cost. So this is how the API works. So apart from the concept that we have learned, that it has an integration, LLMs has an integration with the tools, multiple tools, and that integrations happen with the help of APIs. Okay, so it is important to understand the basic concepts of API as well. You don't need to understand how to develop the APIs, but what is the importance of API and how it works if you do not have any background on the APIs. Okay. Now again, as I said, there would be integration with the multiple tools. So as I said, that tools could be anything. It could be a weather application, whether you want to check the weather of the current weather of your city. Okay, so it could be an integration with the airlines, where you want to book the airlines ticket. It could be a integration with the cab providers, where you want to book the cab. It could be an integration with your individual data. It could be an integration with your organizational data. In organization, you may have data in the database, right? So if your LLM, with the help of API, going to call your organizational data for some specific query, okay, which have you asked about your organization, and the data is in the DB, right? So this LLM, with the help of API, is going to call your organizational data which is inside the DB. So it is going to fire some queries. So that means DB is another tool, just like weather application, airlines, cab providers, your individual data, which could be in the PDF files, which could be in the Word file. So similarly for organizational, there could be data in the database. So this database again a tool. So these all are the tools what I am referring here. These all are the tools. Okay, so now suppose you said what's the status of my order. So there could be some order. Okay, you have booked on some e-commerce website and you are asking that what is the status of my order that I have booked from using my AI agent. Okay, so this order details may be in the database. So your LLM, with the help of API, going to contact this particular database and then going to fire some queries. Like this is a standard query that we run in the database. Like what is the status of my order? This is a logical query the client has asked. This need to convert in the way database can understand. So your agent will convert into the query. Select status from orders where order ID equal to this. And once the order is fetched, then definitely you are going to get the result. Okay, like the shipped arriving tomorrow, agent reply with this directly once it has the details from the database, right? So database tools are how agent give exact personalized answer instead of generic ones. So database is also one of the tool. Similarly, we have a web search integration. Now you would like to check some information from the web which is publicly available. Okay, apart from the data that has been trained. Okay, so as I said, there would be a multiple humongous data in which your LLMs has been trained. Okay, and then a model is specific model is generated. Okay, now if you want to do some web search, which where agent look up for the current public information online, okay, not based on the model. because model is specifically a trained data. Okay, this is a trained data. It will not have the current data. Current data. For example, if I have created a model on January 2026, like 4.2 model. So this particular model will have all the data which is prior to this particular date. But if any other information that has been come to your public domain after January 2026, okay, that information will not be there in the this particular model. So for this information, there has to be a new model that has to be released by the provider, right? So similarly, your LLMs will not have the current public information which is there currently, right? So for that, what we can do, we can have an agent for the web search. Okay, you can have a web search agent or web search tool integration. Okay, and then you can ask like who won the cricket match yesterday. So now if you are going to ask this question yesterday, who won the match yesterday, and your data or your LLM is trained on some data like of January 2026, but this particular match was on February 2026. So your LLM will not have this data because it has not been trained on this particular data, right? So for that, you need the real-time integrations. And then you can ask this question, and then a API agent is going to convert that in a specific function, and that function will look up for the web search agent API, and based on that, it will send you the result back like India won by 6 wickets against Australia. So this is what lets an AI agent answer what is happening today instead of being stuck in the training cutoff. So this is a training cutoff because it was trained till January 2026, but this is a yesterday data. So for that, what is happening yesterday, which is yesterday's data, right? So it will not get stuck on the trained model only. So with the help of web search integrations, API integrations, or tool integrations, it can give you the current information as well. Similarly, as I said, example, email sending. An email tool lets an agent compose and actually send the message on your behalf, going from suggestion text to taking the action. So as I said, if your LLMs doesn't have integration or your AI agent doesn't have integration with any tool, and you can ask, can you send an email for you? Then definitely you are going to get the answer, no, I cannot send the mail, but I can frame a email for you. But when you have an integration, when your AI agent an integration with the email tool, then it can write the email for you, then it can send the email for you, and then it can give you the confirmation I have sent the email. Okay, so you can ask email my manager, I will be late by 10 minutes. Okay, so if agent is going to convert that into the function, based on that it is going to call the internal emailing tool, and then it is going to send the email, and then you will get a confirmation done, I have sent the email to your manager. So this is an irreversible action. Good agent confirm with you before sending anything sensitive. So there would be an kind of an implementation in the AI agent tool where before sending the email, okay, you may get the framed email, okay, for the confirmation. Okay, this is the email that I have framed, and please give me a go ahead, and I am going to send the email. So you can have a check in between, so you can review the email if it is good or not, and then you can say yes, email is good, and then agent will send the email for you. So this is the email agenting or email tool. Again, you have an calendar integration. You if you do the integration with the calendars, okay, so your AI agent can book the your meetings for you, automatically meetings for you. You can ask simple like that, schedule a meeting with Ria tomorrow at 3 p.m. So now your AI agent has an integration with the calendar tool, right? Calendar tool. So it is going to create a function, okay, with the details like the title, date, time, attendees, okay, and based on that calendar check for the conflicts and then create the event and then send you the confirmation that the meeting has been booked. Now here we have the calendar tool. So what we have been talking about so far about the importance of tool. Your LLMs cannot do anything unless and until it is integrated with some third-party tools, and their AI agent is come in the picture. AI agent or agentic AI. Agentic AI. So what we have learned about the AI agent and agentic AI difference is AI agent AI agent can do a specific task for you or a specific goal for you, like one goal. And in this goal, there could be multiple steps. Like if you say that book a cab for me, okay, so your AI agent going to look up for the multiple service providers, which is the good service provider, right? And which is giving the less cost, and then it's going to book the cab. So this single agent is doing everything in the AI agent. But if it is agentic AI, so there could be multiple AI agent in a single transaction or a single flow. AI agent 1, AI agent 2, AI agent 3. So if you have a 3 agent, they can look up for the different service providers. Like the agent 1 look for service provider 1, agent 2 look for service provider 3, and agent 3 look for service provider 3. So in agentic AI, we have the multiple agent which is working for you, right? So now demo, putting all together. So user give the request, LLM reason, identified tool are needed. Like this is the important point. As I said, whenever you ask a question to a AI agent, your LLM has to look for which tool it need to contact, and then it, like suppose it is a calendar tool where you would like to book or you want to send the email, then it convert it into a function, and function will have a particular values based on the input that you have provided. Then it is going to call certain function, like for send the email, so it is going to call the email tool. If you are going to book the here some schedule, it will call the calendar. If you are going to ask some query that is there in the organizational data, it is going to call the DB tool, right? And then you are going to response back once the response is given by a tool, and then LLM will frame the response and show in front of you once the response is back from the different tools. So what are the key takeaway? Agent need tools because LLM alone cannot access live data or take real world actions. Tool calling is the LLM deciding when to use tool. Function calling is how it executed in code. API and database queries fetch live or structured data the LLM could never know on its own. Web search, email, calendar tools turn the agent from an answer into a door. Real agentic behavior often chains multiple tools together to complete one request. So now hope it is clear to you what is or what are the tools, what are the importance of tools, and what is the importance of tools in the AI agent. Without the integration with the tools, your AI agent is not complete. And so how we do the integration with the different tools? With the help of APIs. So you have an AI agent, okay, which has an LLM. So it has an integration with the multiple tool with the help of APIs. Tool 1, tool 2, tool 3, tool 4. So you ask the question, your LLM with the help of API decide which tool it has to call. Once the response back to your LLM, the response is going to send to you. So this is how tools work in the AI agents.